Cities lay in ruins while red flares blinked on Mars, and humanity begged for a miracle. Edison answered with a handheld disintegrator that sang feathers to atoms, brick to cloud. He unveiled electrical ships that slipped free of gravity, guided by polarities like invisible tides. Lord Kelvin, Colonel Smith, and other minds rallied as nations funded a fleet for Mars. The Congress cheered when the first ship rose, its windows bright as new constellations over harbor. Edison promised speed, precision, and courage, while engineers practiced the soft whir that meant safety. Under a blood-tinged moon, the fleet lifted, the whir fading into starlight as Mars glowed. That soft whir returned in thin starlight as the fleet tested itself between Earth and Moon. They landed among stark craters, buried the first dead, and found a giant footprint pressed in stone. Lord Kelvin weighed their bodies and guessed the moon's secrets while cameras traced broken watchtowers. Back in space, a charged meteor tore a car open, killing men and stealing its air. Edison steadied the flagship, rescued survivors, and hauled the wreck toward lunar ground for repairs. With oxygen tanks refilled and resolve sharpened, electrical ships rose, the stars steady and cold. Far ahead, Mars burned brighter, its canals faint threads, while the fleet hummed like one heart. To the hum of coils, the red star swelled as a tiny world crossed their path. Stranded Martians on a golden asteroid struck first, lightning unmaking 2 ships before alarms peaked. Edison stepped outside, aimed his disintegrator, and spiked their engine with a single blue shimmer. Colonel Smith seized a living giant. Lord Kelvin proved the asteroid's weight meant nuggets below. They tunneled stardust, found gold gleaming like sunlight, and learned to float where up barely existed. Their prisoner swallowed air pills, glared, and watched the fleet map Mars and rehearse new tactics. The hum deepened, and Mars widened, red deserts filling the windows like a rising storm. Rising storm became reality above the Lake of the Sun, where smoke boiled and lightning fenced sky. Martian airships swarmed, disintegrators raked hulls, yet heavy losses forced the survivors to withdraw. Edison lengthened range, pierced the smoke, and punched bright holes over the lake's armored shores. Colonel Smith proposed misdirection, then led a night landing in Ausonia beneath whispering trees. They found a guarded depot, rescued Ina from tormentors, and reprovisioned ships with compressed rations. Ina's music, sweet and aching, steadied hands as stolen crates stacked beside the Wheaton flagship. With smoke tasting of metal, the fleet split, one force fainting while another vanished into night. That music guided lessons. Ina taught their tongues and histories by lamplight in the flagship. She named the Lake of the Sun, the Syrtis Major, and their emperor ruling fearful fortresses. Her story traced human ancestors stolen from Earth's valley, builders forced to raise the pyramids. Edison chose the floodgates, strike the powerhouse, seal the strait, and drown the engines of war. He, Colonel Smith, Sidney Phillips, and Aina slipped through a cut net and a quiet grove. A wheel turned, gates swung, water roared. They escaped by rope as the powerhouse dissolved. Behind them, the deluge raced, airships rose, disintegrators flashed, and the fleet broke the armada. Even above the roar, surrender flags lifted near the palace as the Martian emperor watched. He took an oath to spare Earth. Colonel Smith kept guard while Ina interpreted every vow. When the emperor struck a woman, rage ignited. Colonel Smith's beam erased him from the terrace. Edison signaled departure, the fleet circled Earth to cheers, nations wept as heroes stepped down. Days later, Ina married Sidney Phillips, while Lord Kelvin smiled and Colonel Smith saluted softly. The red planet faded into memory, and the soft whir promised vigilance whenever lights blinked again. Humanity listened to the hush after thunder, and promised mercy first, should red flares return. Edison kept the disintegrator covered, a tool of last resort, never spectacle.